And we are incredibly lucky, President Danko, Jim, if we may, to have a conversation that will be focused on the future. But to start that out, I want to go back to the past. Namely, 2011, you come in as president, and you have this inaugural address, the theme of which was Imagine the Possibilities. In it, you announced a $5 million idea fund. You focused a lot on innovation, which we're going to get more into as we go throughout. But more broadly, you laid out a specific vision for where Butler would go under your leadership. And just like set the context of the big areas, the moment in time when you came in, just to ground us in that time at Butler so we can start to put in perspective all that you've done.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Michael and Jeff, for being here today. We're honored by your presence, and thanks for putting some focus on Butler. We're very proud of what has happened here. You know, you got to go back to 2011 and understand the context. And this was a very special moment in time and very unique, something I don't think too many universities could claim. 2010, 2011, the Butler basketball team was in the championship game of the NCAA tournament, right? I mean, I can't tell you the number of universities that want to mimic that playbook, and it's just really hard to do. So this is the David Goliath story, and I'm kind of coming in on the heels of that. In fact, when I was being interviewed in 2011, my first interview was when they made the Sweet 16, and I'm thinking, do I want them to win? Because if they go all the way, they're going to want another president that has a higher profile. But it really, if you talk about vision, strategy, leadership, you just have to even dial Butler back to the late 80s. President Jeff Bannister at the time decided to go down that path. And it's not an easy path, you know. Hired Barry Collier, did a great job of being the architect of the basketball program. And then this guy by the name of Brad Stevens, another lightning in the bottle moment, joins Butler, and just one of the best coaches of all history, quite frankly, and did a great job. And Butler, like it tends to do, punched above its weight. And I'm coming in at that time. So that's the context, right? And a little bit of me too, coming from Villanova, I knew what it meant back then, because in '85, that's all they talked about is when they beat Georgetown. And that was a moment for Villanova. But it was a much different era in 2011 versus '85. I don't think universities weren't thinking about marketing and branding, and we could use this to leverage to rankings and all of that. But we had to think about it that way. And so as I come into that with my experience at other great universities like Michigan and Villanova and so forth, I had to either leverage that moment or fail. And that's really how I sold myself, I think, to the trustees at the time. And of course, you fall back on what you're used to, what you've learned, 40 years of management and leadership for myself going into that. You go to that toolbox of we've got to move fast, we've got to change, we've got to think differently than other universities. The context of higher ed, I think really, your book kind of points it out. It's amazing the things that have happened different even from the year 2000. You had to move forward or you were going to die. It's kind of like the shark, right? I'm not a marine biologist like George Costanza, but I think that's an apt metaphor, if it's true, that if you don't move forward, you're going to die. So that's the context of 2011. So.
And you outline a bunch of principles around academic mission, diversity, being reflective of the larger world.